Wednesday, September the 18th. I'm going to go through, Tim is not here, I'll be chairing the meeting tonight. I'm going to go through the agenda and let you know what it is that we have down and whether the board, whether you need to make any changes and so forth along that line. The agenda for tonight, the first item I have down is public comments. I see a bunch that, and I'll probably come back and ask about that. We have finance, we got consent agenda, we have policies, we have several policies that need to be won. We have committee report that we just got done with an education committee. We have a administrator's report, and we have superintendent's report, and we have a chair's report. Not a lot there because I'm not going. Tim's not here, but and then we have FYI items. We have several, the enrollment and then the fixed assets that I made. Just let you know what it is that are out there for that. And so the what I like to know from the board members is that reading of the agenda for tonight, is that all in order? Are there any other items in terms of a category that need to be added to the agenda before we start? And the arrangement of these items here are to be left as read unless there is a change to be brought about. Any changes? No. All right. Well, thank you. The first item tonight is public comment. We've allowed pretty much 5 minutes for public comments, and at this particular time I'll ask, is there members of the public that would like to speak and address the board? I ask that you step up to the mic and that you state your name.
I'm sorry, can I say something? 5 minutes, considering the number of people we have?
We won't, if it takes more than that, I don't know what all of the people are here for. It could be one spokesperson, but.
Presentation. But I know this
is public comment.
Right.
And so maybe I can ask how many different scenarios of events within the public comments, because I had 5 minutes down for that. So
5 minutes total?
So if we got more items, I have no idea what anybody is going to be talking about, how many different topics to be addressed. Yes. Okay. So if it seems as though everybody is on the same topic. Okay. So what I'll ask that you do is try not to repeat what has already been stated. And so when you address the board, if you have something you want to say and have some action that you would like to take, I'd like to get that down and we'll move on.
I just want to present a video.
Your name, please?
My name is Brianna Higgins. I'm 22 years old.
See if the chair is going to allow a video.
I didn't plan for a video to be.
I know, sir, and I'm sorry. And either way, this video will be seen. I will send it out and all that. And
that's not what's in question. So in order to prepare certain things along this line and what's going to be visually in terms of documentation, the saying, if you have written information, the video falls up under that. The board needs to have that. The chair needs to get it and agree to make sure that that's allowable to be done by the board from a public comment, because it's not, okay?
all right.
And so you can prepare that to send that, and we could be reviewed,
Okay.
and then determine whether that's going to be shown to the board this time.
Okay.
Okay.
It is a video. It's audio over pictures from the Quantum Leap program. It's not just words of my own, it's words from people that couldn't make it here tonight. That's why I made the video, so everyone could be included in a timely manner.
And if you can summarize what it is that you would expect the board to hear from the video, it would be great.
Well, if I cannot present the video, may I present what I had written down?
Yes.
Please? Thank you.
Did the name get in the records? Not yet? You did? Okay.
Would you like to take a minute and have another speaker, and then we can
Right.
grant you time?
If you want to recompose, you can. Okay.
Sorry, I lost my gram a couple days ago. It's really hard to be here.
Really sorry. Okay.
But I will send the video out afterwards. Hi everyone, my name is Brianna Higgins. I'm 22 years old and I graduated from MAU in 2016. I wanted to voice my concerns on the Quantum Leap exhibit program. I was baffled and heartbroken to hear the news that Danielle Crozier was resigning from a job she loves. I'm confused as to why Ms. Crozier was getting her freedom to teach that she wants taken away from her. Her tactics and her teaching styles have been working. Danielle and Rick have gone above and beyond for their students. They make it a point to get to know their students personally. Have you considered looking at Quantum Leap success rates? Mount Anthony Union High School needs Quantum Leap to continue to help our at-risk youth. Quantum Leap accommodates for our teenagers who struggle in a mainstream school setting. I believe not letting Ms. Crozier continue running her program how she has been successfully, Mount Anthony Union High School will suffer, our future at-risk youth will suffer. The Croziers gave me and my parents hope for my time at MAU. It only took them 1 year to shape me into the student I needed to be to graduate. I hope you have listened to what I had to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yeah. Step up. Right. Name, please.
My name is Danielle Crozier,
Okay.
and from 2004 until just recently, I ran the Quantum Leap Exhibit program.
Would you mind speaking?
Into
I'm
the
sorry.
mic for
Excuse me.
the camera, that's all.
Thanks.
Okay, sorry. My name is Danielle Crozier. Up until recently, I ran the Quantum Leap Exhibit program from 2004 until this past August. I have a letter here that I would like to distribute to board members, but I am unfamiliar with your faces. If you could just let me know if you're a board member, I would like to give you this letter.
The chairs, my opening statement was, if there's documents and there's a tape to be provided to the chair, we have a policy. So if you would read what's on there, whatever you need to do, as opposed to passing out prepared statements or documents to the board, would be greatly appreciated.
I don't think that it would be appropriate to pass or to read what's on here because it contains personal information.
So understand, anything you pass out to board members or not will become part of the public record, and Richard will have to record that, so.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So how can I get this to you? What is the correct way to get this to you?
Without, what I mentioned earlier, any information that from the public along this line in terms of documentation was to send it to the chair.
And I have sent it to the chair.
And so that if that's the case, that information is available, and that the chair would have shared that information, or made a decision to share that information not with the board, the full board, without having to, whatever content elements are in there, in terms of that you didn't want the public, full board to hear, we shouldn't be, we wouldn't be discussing it in open session, no way. We have an executive session at the end. And so whatever's there that you send to the chair, we'll be talking about it in executive session.
Okay, and have you received it from Tim Holbrook?
Tim Holbrook sent items to me and prepared
Thank you.
the superintendent for a review in the in the executive session.
If the chair sends something to everyone, that also is public record. All your emails are public record, so.
And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the chair has the option of taking that information if it gets it and making sure it gets disseminated on what needs to happen, and that we don't violate anybody's rights, and we have an executive session to cover that.
So my name's,
Okay. Next, go ahead.
my name's Rick Crozier. I'm a teacher at Mount Anthony Union High School. You have a group of people here that are seriously concerned about the Quantum Leap program at Mount Anthony Union High School being discontinued. For all intents and purposes, that's basically what has happened. I am the only teacher currently in the entire alternative program. If you were to look at the alternative program, so to speak, what you really have at Mount Anthony Union High School currently are a bunch of teachers teaching alternative classes. I currently occupy a classroom that used to be the Quantum Leap exhibit program and the Bridges summer program classroom, and there are 5 unoccupied classrooms that surround me. It's completely empty. I am there all by myself, all alone, all day. The Quantum Leap exhibit program that we used to run will not run this year, clearly, and any of the students that we were servicing, and we had to tell them, more or less, and their parents, that the program that we had laid out from this summer will no longer occur. Approximately 2 years ago, we had a different principal. We are on our 4th principal in 5 years. We had piloted a program to build our alternative programs. We had 5 staff members. We had a science teacher, a math teacher, a social studies teacher, an elective teacher, and we had a mentor that was working with our group. We piloted for 1 year. Subsequently, when Glenda Cresto was principal of our school and she left, the following year, that pilot program was dismantled, and we were never given any explanation as to why. The last year, we have seen those staff members that worked with us either told that their contract wouldn't be renewed, or they were told not to work with us. Currently, all of the alternative classes that are being taught have been moved to the high school. They don't teach in the alternative program. There are no teachers that are actually working together in alternative education right now at Mount Anthony Union High School. It doesn't really exist. So what I'm going to read to you a letter that was from Glenda Cresto to myself and my wife 2 years ago. It says, "Danny and Rick, as you know, I will not be returning as principal next year. I just wanted to reach out to you to convey my deep and abiding respect for all you do at Mount Anthony Union High School. Your commitment, passion, heart, and vision are an inspiration, and you each truly make a difference in the lives of every student. You are remarkable educators, individually and collectively. I have absolutely enjoyed working with you, and I hope I have contributed a little bit to making you two and the Quantum Leap program available to more students. David Barrio and I have talked extensively about building the program and ensuring there is an open and productive relationship to all at the high school. I know you've also approached him. He is eager to meet with you and to continue the conversations that we've started. And as I leave here, I am truly grateful that the conversation and the work will be continuing. I will truly miss not getting a chance to be part of the growth and to celebrate with you. However, for what it's worth, I believe I have seen the magic you create and the difference you make for students. Thank you. Glenda Cresto. So subsequently after that happened, literally, there was no program. The following year, the dismantling began. Laura Boudreau was our principal for 1 year. We received very little support. Most of our staff was either didn't have their contract renewed, and we were down to basically myself and Mrs. Crozier. And now this year, our principal here, Mr. Nixon, has decided that her position is no longer needed. So I would have one question for the board. We have a large population in Bennington. I grew up here. I went to high school at Mount Anthony. I've taught there for 21 years. The only reason I teach at Mount Anthony is I came back to Mount Anthony to try to get children to understand what types of mistakes an individual can make and how they can correct them. For 21 years, I have tried to do that. SVSU paid for me to go to school, to get my master's degree, to develop this single type of program. What are we going to do with the children from Bennington that fall into the category of at risk? And MTSS is not the answer. I can tell you that. I sat through a meeting today, to be perfectly blunt, that MTSS was the topic. And I have a lot of sympathy for the young lady that had to present to our faculty. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Someone else?
Hi, my name is Lori Maltman. I'm a resident of Bennington, and I want to address the board on a couple of things. I'll be very, very quick. First thing is in regards to the materials attached to tonight's agenda. I noticed there are no resumes attached to the noms for positions, and I have a concern about that because if it's distributed to the board, it should also be distributed to the public. That's one of the things. The descriptions on the warrants are cut off, so all information is not included on the warrant. So it would be helpful to have that. The third thing being is that I think that Mr. Payne may be approaching the board about maybe acquiring some new equipment. He and I have had a discussion for the last 2 weeks about maybe the need for MAUMS to have a particular piece of security equipment. I, as a parent, of course, want every facility to have what they need. This is why we vote on the budget. So I do hope that you support him, and he'll follow up with you, I'm sure, purchasing this additional equipment. One of the concerns that I had is in regards to the way that things have been happening lately, such as the Quantum Leap program sort of being dismantled at the start of the school year. As a taxpayer, we're asked to vote on the budget in March, and I vote according to what I know is in place. That includes Quantum Leap, that includes NECC, that includes whatever it is that has been asked of the taxpayer to support. I'm sitting here going, okay, so if I support that program, and so I'm willing to definitely vote yes on the budget based on this information, but then to hear that I've had no say, there was no warning, there was no input from the community on how they felt, it sort of brings me back to an episode where another teacher or principal was sort of like going to lose his position. So I really feel that there needs to be some form of communication here between the boards or, is it a board decision? Is it a principal's decision? We're merging. Does BVSU know about this? I mean, maybe they are thinking, oh yeah, this would be great. We can get our kids into this program. Maybe not. How has their response been? So I really feel that, there needs to be some cohesiveness here, and there just doesn't seem to be, and I'm not sure why. I think we try to do our best with every student, but sometimes, I think that we as a community just don't communicate enough. I do want to address student safety. I have tried to reach several schools over the years, and not just this year, but before, and I cannot reach schools sometimes. Is there a way that this MAU can develop maybe a paging system that a parent could contact? Or maybe there's some other means, like in cases of emergency, or, hey, look, I didn't plan on this, I was in an auto accident or something, I'm not gonna get there on time to pick up my child, but if you get no answer at the school, there's no way to communicate this to them. So is there, what I'm looking for is maybe another method for parents who need to contact schools in an urgent situation. What is it that we need to do? You tell me, because it's happened several times over the years, and I do want to address that because it was a very critical thing happened last week. I needed to reach the school, and I wound up calling Central, and all they had was the main number, but if nobody picks up the phone, I'm hoping that somebody's got a cell phone number. But then again, I don't have the cell phone number. So is there a pager that parents in cases of emergency could contact in such cases? So I am asking NEU to address this issue because it does involve student safety and security of these kids. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
Hi there, guys. My name is Alexis Pecor. I am 21 years old and I am a former student to the Quantum Leap exhibit and program itself. I'm not only speaking for just myself, I'm speaking for the others who could not attend. I'm speaking for my freshman brother, who is now a part of Mount Anthony. And I would like to share with you guys what my mother has just said to me today. I asked if my brother Aiden could come stay the weekend with me because I heard he was doing very well in school. Maybe. Stuff's going on at school. We have to find out. He's skipping second block. My brother's second block is now alternative English, and it was supposed to be some Quantum Leap before the program was shut down. He was afraid to go into the class due to the fact that he was not comfortable with what he was going into by entering the Bridges program over the summer. I was also a freshman in 2012, and I was actually in the Freshman Academy program in the main buildings at Mount Anthony. And by my first semester, I nearly failed. Can you imagine what it's like going up to your parents who are actually very strict and saying, hey, I'm failing, I have a 19 in science, I have a 32 in English, and I have a 27 in social studies. It was very bad because my father went to Mr. Barrio and some other members of the school, and he was like, I will not have my daughter fail, what can we do? And we were guided to the Quantum Leap program. I ended up graduating a half a year early because of this program. And not only do they like to sit there and make the time and get to know their students, but they like to watch them grow, and they love to watch them succeed. And let me tell you, I was one hell of a troublesome student, and growing up into who I am today, I really would not be here without my program and my family sticking behind me by succeeding with this program. My one question is, are you willing to neglect other students' rights to learn the ways that they need to learn? These teachers will do anything and everything to find out what it is to make sure that you're learning the right way, and to have the concept that you students are understanding, hey, are you understanding where this subject is? Like, are you understanding the questions that are followed on the tests? What is it that we can do to make you understand? They would do physical, hands-on methods. They would do reading. They would do anything. We have students with IEPs and 504s. We have students that have special needs and things like that. Why is it that we can only meet certain requirements to certain programs when there's a very good program that's been here since 2004? I just hope that you guys can really just think and look into the bottom of people's hearts in this, because Granted, there may not be a lot of people here, but there are a lot of people who will react about this program being down.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Alexis Sequoia. I was a former student for the Bridges program and stuff. I mean, high school is not for everybody. There are kids that do have to learn separate than being thrown into a mainstream class with tons of kids. Like, high school is not my thing. I don't like I don't like crowds of people. I don't like classes, but being there and them helping me find, like, you know, it's not for you. This is for you. And then just like having it being taken away. I mean, it sucks, but them taking that away, there's so many kids that just don't know what to do anymore, so they're going to drop out or they're just not going to do anything at MAU. There's just there's nothing for kids that don't know how to learn in big classes. There's nothing for them. There's one alternative teacher. Other than that, they're being thrown into classes, failing out of school. Like, there's nothing for kids that are at risk. Like, nothing at all. Taking that away, you're throwing away everybody's education pretty much.
Hi, I'm Robin Kozlowski. I also have a daughter that started with the Bridges because in 8th grade she had a really hard time. She was contemplating possibly ending her life. She was not functioning very well. We got her into the Bridges program, and all of a sudden she started to come alive. She was one didn't want to go to school at all, but in that Bridges program during the summer, she went every single day, never once said, "I'm not going to school, I'm not doing this." In the program, she was fortunate enough to get 2 years out of it because it had increased a little bit. Had she not been in that program and developed some of the skills she has, even not even just school skills, they've learned so much more than just core classes and whatever. Building them to be better people and learning how to cope with things that they can't. It's very sad that the program has ended, and I don't know. I think everybody's making a big mistake. There's a lot of kids here that are from families that need the extra boost. They need the extra person caring for them as they do. You call them, they're there for you. Any time of the day, it doesn't matter. I've spoken to them a lot of times. I just drop in, or did just drop in, make sure my daughter was doing what she was supposed to do. It's a great program, and a lot of the kids are going to suffer. And it's a shame that they're not even going to be able to experience half of the stuff that that program offers to them.
Someone else?
Hi, my name is Pamela Cuccini. I'm a paraeducator, and I have nieces and nephews that have gone through the Quantum Leap program, and I just have a quick question. Can you fit in this box?
I would ask that you stick to the mic.
If you can't fit in this box in front of the mic, you're right.
Yes, if you just say to the
Can
mic.
anybody of you here fit in this box? Why do we expect our children to fit in the same box? They can't. Every child is different. Every child learns different. And by taking away these programs, you expect them all to learn the same. I was a senior in high school before they found out that I had dyslexia. I was failing. And programs like that probably would have saved me. But because people wanted me to learn from the same box, it didn't work out well for me. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
My name is Caitlin Farland. I'm a former paraeducator at the high school and former substitute. I'm also a parent of a child that's going to be entering SVSU district schools. My brother and both of my sisters were part of Danny and Rick's program. Both of my sisters were teen mothers. If it were not for Danny and Rick and the Quantum Leap program, they would not have graduated high school. My mother raised 6 of us without our fathers. And it is because of this program that all 6 of us have graduated. I had Rick for Freshman Focus in 2001. I graduated 2005, just after Quantum Leap began. This program is detrimental to the success of our at-risk youth.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Liz Coleman. I'm the former president of Bennington College. There are a couple of things I think I know something about, actually more than I'd like to know about. I know a lot about Quantum Leap because of its relationship with college. I know a lot about what it is to try to be the chief executive for an educational institution. And I know how rare and remarkable it is when something really special happens in schools. I've visited Quantum Leap almost every year since it began, and I visited at the end of the year when they would display their work. And the thing, I don't know whether any of you have done that, and I honestly, if you haven't, I really mean it, you've missed something quite remarkable. The most important thing I want to say tonight is how stunning and brilliant this program is for anyone. The accomplishments of the students in Quantum Leap would be worthy of celebration under any circumstances. The artworks that they created, the projects that they developed are simply dazzling. That's why I'm busy, so are a lot of us. And Lord knows I don't need to visit schools. But visiting Quantum Leap at the end of the year was something I would not miss. And I would bring people from all over just to see something so elegant and beautifully done. So now going to what it is to be responsible for an institution and what it's like to take the fire as you are tonight, I have to say I am totally mystified by why an institution would do anything except celebrate this program, further this program, promote this program, a program that brings together some of the most sophisticated thinking about education that's come out of the history of Bennington College and brought it to the worlds which we think of as absolute opposites. And they made it work. And that is an enormous regard for the power of students, given the kind of leadership that's possible for them to shape the experience of what it is to be a student. And Quantum Leap is as elegant and brilliant an example of that as is Bennington College. Just wanted to make that very clear, as clearly as I can to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. There. Anyone else? Okay.
Go ahead.
Step up to the mic, please.
Good evening, I'm Ellen Jones. More than 50 years ago, Ralph Wright established the Bennington program known as the Boys Program. Shortly after, this was followed by the Mount Anthony program, the Girls Program. I worked on the Girls Program and all its iterations for 33 years. I know what alternative education is. These programs served as models for other programs in Vermont and in the United States. Alternative programs existed in various iterations at Mount Anthony for 50 years until this year. What a sad day for Mount Anthony, an alternative program that won recognition in New England. They won recognition from the New England Board of Higher Education. The Quantum Leap program, which served perhaps the neediest students in the high school, is gone. These students are those who are at risk for dropping out of school, at risk for abject poverty, at risk for substance and domestic abuse. What are you, Mr. Colkeen, and the rest of you, going to do? How do you plan to address these, the needs of these students? How do you plan to recreate the trust, respect, caring, encouragement, and learning that both Mr. and Mrs. Crozier unstintingly provide for these students? What a sad day for the supervisory union that has worked so hard to decrease the high school dropout rate. Listen to the former alternative education students that are here. They came. They couldn't have done that before they went through the Bridges program and the Quantum Leap program. Discover why they did not drop out of school. Learn how and why they became productive people. Understand why they now have self-worth. Know why they felt able to further their education. Hear who urged them and made them believe in themselves. What a sad, sad day for Bennington. Bennington College students tutored and collaborated with the Quantum Leap exhibit program during their field work term in Sababa. What a great connection this was for all the students involved, many from foreign countries. The recognition of the Quantum Leap program is evidenced in the array of mosaics made by the students and sold in Fiddlehead at the Four Corners. One of these mosaics is even in a movie. The students also made paperweights, bowls, and vases at the Manchester Hot Glass. These were not only the things they did, they had to research mosaics. They had to research hot glass. They had to write papers on them. Oops, I lost my place. Sorry. These, as well as the research papers written by the students relating to their studies, were presented at the end of each semester. Not only were there proud students who were able to talk with knowledge about their work, but even more importantly, proud parents. Parents who historically shunned school activities. Mrs. Crozier's resignation will have huge ramifications. These students now have little motivation to go to school. The dropout rate will increase. Truancy will increase. Courts will see more children in need of supervision. Joblessness, poverty, substance and domestic abuse will increase. Self-worth and value will decrease. A downward spiral. All the successes of the Quantum Leap program will linger for a while, but there will be no impetus for the population to move forward. As I said, I am familiar with this population. I worked with them for 33 years, and I am a guardian in Lytton in family court. I am very saddened for these students and their families.
How many more, just one? Okay,
Yeah, I just want.
all right, thanks.
I'm Kevin Stadnick. I was also a student in the program a number of years ago. I graduated from Mount Anthony in 2008. And I was also at risk for dropping out and failing high school. And I just want to say that I joined Mrs. Crozier's program, I think my junior year, and continued that senior year. I was able to graduate. I was able to go on to go to college and graduate MCLA with honors, and I wouldn't have been able to do any of that if I hadn't joined her program. Not just that, but it also helped me gain some valuable life skills and social skills that I didn't have at the time. And I was just dismayed to hear that this program's been disbanded, and I certainly hope that you all reconsider, because this program's been invaluable to people like me. That's really what I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Just want to thank everyone for coming out and expressing your views and opinions. And where there are questions that required a particular answer or response, we will probably be discussing in executive session. But if there was something that we needed to personally address, that may be a note along that line that will be coming back, but nothing to be directly to an individual. It's based on what I got out of this. Okay. Thank you. With that, that's the end of the public comments. The next item on the list is on the finance. We have a treasurer's report from August enclosed, and this report would need to be accepted. Can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
Then moved. Get a second? Second. It's been moved and second now. We have an opportunity for a discussion. No discussion. I have a motion to, with no discussion, we'll just move to accept the treasurer's report as written. All in favor? Aye. Yeah, thanks. Budget status report, next item on there is an FYI. Hopefully you had an opportunity to look at the budget status report, and if you had any questions, we'll talk and come back to that with the budgeting person.
The finance, Mr. Chair, I'm going to pass around the
We need
warrants for
some warrants to
signatures.
sign. Yeah.
And it also includes last month's warrant. There wasn't enough signatures on it, so if you didn't sign last month. They sent it back to me and said they wanted a quorum. Yeah, there's
I
3
tried.
signatures on that,
I
but
tried to sign it and she said, oh,
I
you
was
got enough.
instructed to bring it again tonight and get more signatures on it.
While that's going around, the next item is consent agenda. We have minutes, warrants, retirement, leave of absence, resignation, nomination, and field trips.
So moved.
Note that all of them are there. I have a motion. Fran, a second.
Second.
Any comments?
Does that include the nominations?
That's exactly, yes, nominations was one of those I mentioned.
I've got one simple question on the nominations. When I see a form and it says that the salary is going to be $69,000, does that include benefits or
No,
is that?
that's not.
No.
Benefits are as described by the contract, and the salary is from the line item
Okay,
based on
then.
experience,
What I thought.
but does not include it. no.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions about the consent agenda? It's been moved and second. All in favor? Ayes? Aye. Thank you. The fourth item is, we have policy, several policies for warning. Policy 5600, student freedom expression in school, sponsored medium. This was all out from last year, and somehow we didn't bring it back out, but it's back for warning. Can I have a motion for the?
So moved.
Second.
Second, and moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Ayes?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We have policy number 6330, student eligibility for athletes and co-curricular activities.
So moved.
Is in one, been moved. Have a second?
Second.
It's been second. Any,
Questions?
We'll have a discussion here on this, and let me just open it up before you have a discussion, maybe I answer your questions. There was a question at the elementary level that wanted to have information put in about elementary. It was addressing middle school, high school, but they thought it didn't address the elementary levels, and we added documentation in there where we changed and said all schools into the policy. And so all schools are there, and then with the subject information that was pertinent to the individual schools at the middle school or high school was moved out to go into the procedural part of the policy. Okay? So that's what's out here for that policy. Now, questions? Dave?
Tell me again what a 3 is.
What is a what?
You have to have at least a 3.
That's in the
Oh,
proficiency-based grading.
That's, the question is, what is a 3? In the proficiency-based learning, the levels along that line, and that level is pretty much comfortable to one of the levels in the grading system, is what we tried to get them to do.
Meeting.
Which is meeting expectations, which will be, that's right.
All right, you also have to have at least a 65, right? Didn't I, that's in here somewhere, right?
The high school have not completely changed over so far, and that's why we broke out
Yeah.
what was happening in terms of the procedures versus the middle school.
So you have to have both if you're in the high school.
The high school is converting over to the system, and we're doing the,
You wouldn't be meeting
make-
expectations if you were below a 65.
yeah.
Okay.
So there's a dual system still going on as this proficiency-based grading comes online.
So this will be the first time for this.
This will be not the first time for this. This has been a review, which I mentioned earlier, that this was going around, and at the elementary level, they wanted to change the name to not include, because it didn't include elementary level. So what actually happened in the policy, when you look at it, in one of the lines, it changed over from several schools to include all schools, and so therefore it applied to the elementary schools as well.
So you've been doing this.
We've been doing this already.
How cumbersome is it? It seems like you'd be checking grades every week, every 2 weeks. How tough is that anyhow?
What tough is it? Well, we've had many meetings with the middle school assistant principal, and at the high school, and with the AD, to make sure that all of this is exactly what's taking place and how it's being managed. So to answer that question of how cumbersome it is, this is a process that we're saying is required, and we're managing that process right now. And I think I used the terms of making sure that we didn't have any unnecessary pain associated with this policy. And I used Mr. Payne's, he was in the meeting for that. So this is exactly what we wanted right now. Okay.
How about if you have an appeal? Have we had many appeals? That looks like that would be a big group of people meeting.
What do you mean by having an appeal? There's a process to go through.
And I'm just reading the number of people that the principal, activities directors, guidance counselors, special ed case manager, teachers. Have we had many appeals, and how's that going?
We can answer that question over there. It's in the procedure part. Yes, go ahead. If Tim wants to.
So Dave, this is the second year at the middle school. We use habits of work, which is separate from the academic proficiency that kids also get on their report card. So mathematics, you get feedback on how you're doing in math, but you'd also get feedback from your teacher about your habits of work. Do you come prepared? Are you respectful? Do you give your best effort? At the middle school, we decided that we're going to use habits of work in a determination of whether or not you suit up and play. The idea being is that a kid, because you got to pick a number, 3 is proficient, but you have kids academically who may be working still to be proficient in a math concept. That's not really fair. They could be showing up every day, they could be working hard, but they're just at a 2. So we felt that if you're going to be a good citizen in the community, in the school community, you're going to come prepared, be respectful, give your best effort, that's a 3. You meet our expectation. Therefore, you then you've earned the privilege of wearing a jersey, suiting up, and representing the team. We do grade checks every 2 weeks. Our first one is this week, this Friday. Goes out in a digital format. Teachers can log in. They simply list the name of kids who are currently not earning a 3 in all subject area or in all the habits of work. We do have a process now under the policy that kids have a 1 week work back into it. Got to remind everybody you can still practice, you just can't suit up and play. So that's probably familiar to folks in the past that you don't get kicked off the team. Okay. So we do have a system for kids to they have to go back, make a plan with their teachers. This is what I got to do to show the teacher I can be respectful, be responsible, give my best effort, and kids work back. Appeal is something we have not experienced so far. This is only our second year. My experience in the past was an appeal when there was a disagreement around a number. Definitely had some feedback from parents last year about like, whoa, how'd they get a 3? So that is something, as the chair has mentioned, we're kind of working on. And teachers, if you're going to give a kid a 2 or a 1, you hopefully are communicating with parents and you have evidence as to why that student is not being proficient in habits of work. But it is, I think, in the first year, we definitely learned some things, but the second year, we work very closely with the athletic director. She's been a huge help. Chris McGuire has been great with that. I think teachers are understanding that communication is the first, giving students and their families an update helps kind of make the process a little smoother.
I just want to say that these are the administrative regs part of the policy, and those are for the administrators to manage in accordance with the policy. And so the policy change that I mentioned earlier is at the top when it went from just middle school, high school to all schools. And so, and then the expectations in the bold printing on here, and then everything else that used to be in the old policy that was there got moved in the administrative regs because proficiency-based learning was coming into play, and we're trying to go over from the middle school to the high school and so forth along that line and equate what was efficiency-based level versus a grade and so forth along that line. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on the procedural part because that's in the administrative regs. I just want you to know the policy piece is what the board is going to be concerned about, and whether you had any questions about that in terms of the policy changes at the top, and if not, the proficiency-based learning and how that equate to what is in the administrative regs. We can bring it for discussion any other time in terms of what we've done in terms of education committee and other things along that line. So is that?
I guess my last one, and Tim might have answered it. I don't know if it says it here, but you can practice.
That
plays and sports and such, but you can't play or perform. But does it say that here?
That in the administrative regs piece there, without going through every one of them here, what I'm saying is that we didn't delete any, we moved it. Now, if you want to find the actual line for that, Dave, is what you're asking for. I don't, at the high school or the middle school? Everything that's been in the policy is still there, strike-throughs on it, so it's, along that line. We didn't take it, and we did it so that you can see it. That's why we highlighted it in yellow, saying that we're gonna move it out of the original policy and put it in administrative regs. So there's no language change yet for that, at least besides the 3 and so forth. You have a question?
Yeah.
Ed?
Work-wise, are the principals and the faculty and staff of the schools happy with this process? Or is it cumbersome to the point where they're not following the process?
What I'm gonna say here, what we did, and I'm trying to say up to this point, the middle school met numerous of times in the principal with the AD, the policy committee, to go through this and make sure that we were doing what was necessary to be able to equate the regular policy into the efficiency-based learning process. And that hadn't changed. So I don't know what, we asked until it's being managed. Currently, it was managed then, it is being managed now. Okay. With that, if there are no other questions and concern about the policy, if I have everyone in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Extensions? No. Thank you. I've completed I see your hand, but I've completed. I've completed I've completed okay. But I wanted to say I've completed the general comment section for that, and I did say warning, and it's on here for that. Okay. Wait a minute, I got my, that was policy 6330. The next one is the committee report. The Education Committee met this afternoon. Can you give a brief summary, right?
First we talked about, we followed up on what we talked about at our last general meeting about Chromebook usage, the possibility of, so as you recall, we authorized the purchase of 400 new Chromebooks. Separate from that, we as a group were presented by Frank the possibility of those 400 units being assigned to the entire freshman class, and those Chromebooks staying with the students through their 4 years and then eventually becoming property of the students upon their graduation. Frank and I met over the last month and we discussed some points about logistics for that. And Frank and Steve and I and conversation to the Education Committee tonight, it sounds like what's more feasible or more realistic based on feedback from the students and from the staff is continuing to have the Chromebooks used in the same way that they are in the school, so that the Chromebooks will stay in the schools. Students will not be assigned a specific unit. Students won't be responsible for possession of that unit every day, every night, over the summer. Instead, there's going to be some mechanism in place in which students who need and want to have a Chromebook go home with them for work, that those units be able to be signed out by the students. So it's kind of a middle ground between saying to all the students, here, you've got this, you're responsible for this, take it home, you're responsible for it. Every day it has to come in charge. Instead of that being in place, saying to a student, if you would like to check out a Chromebook at the end of the day, you can do that, you can take it home. Our goal is to have all of the students have access to the internet and to a device so that they can complete their work. And so that's what we're working to manifest, as opposed to jumping to the conclusion of all freshmen have to go home with these units. So that's what Frank and Steve and the staff are going to work to develop procedures for that. And they're going to do some work over that over the next couple of months and get back to us about how that's best going to be implemented at the high school.
Right.
That's the first thing we talked about. The second thing, we got a report from Mr. Moses, Mr. Longori, and Ms. Brigham about science curriculum, an overview about the where the department is going, what their focus is in terms of incorporating STEM into the curriculum, pulling out the standards that will further, pulling out the learning objectives that are going to further the standards while incorporating STEM mechanisms for learning. And that'll all be, I'll write it up I'll write up the what we learned tonight and share that with the group at the next meeting.
Well, we have a minute taker.
Pardon?
You had, minutes were taken.
Yeah, the minutes are taken.
Okay, so, all right.
You can add
Thank-
to it if
Yeah,
You can
as
write
a
'em.
chair, I will share what we do.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. The next item, number 6, is on the administrative reports. We'll go with the high school first.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Since we last met on August 26th, we had an in-service day for the teachers. It was the first day back at school. And the theme of that was training by a Web Align group, which represents Dr. Webb's work and depth of knowledge. It basically is a training for teachers on how to work on common assessments and use higher order thinking questions. That's something that I spoke with you about last year, and that was quite successful, and that was a day long. Then on the 28th, we had the school opening for freshmen. That was freshman day, and that was very successful. We had one of our biggest freshman classes in a long time. I believe we have over 270 students this year. And they got to see the building, got to meet their teachers, and we reserved some time at the end for them to get outside and use the property and have some fun and games and get to make personal contact with adults in the building who may not be their teachers. And so that too was very successful. On September 10th, we had open house in which parents of our students came to the school and they followed their students' schedules that the students follow throughout the day. So they move throughout the school, getting to meet all of their child's teachers and get an overview of what the course was like. And then afterwards, we had refreshments and had all the administrators available for any questions about either about the school, about proficiency-based learning, or any other questions that the parents may have. Upcoming on the week of the 23rd will be Spirit Week. That's where every day we have a daily theme with our students, which is dress up, such as, throwback day when they dress up in 60s or 70s or 80s clothing. And so every day has a theme, and that's followed by the pep rally on Friday, the 27th. It's a half day of school. We have an in-service that day, so the pep rally is from 10 until 11 in the morning. And then the following day, on the 28th, will be the homecoming dance at the high school. So the beginning of the year has been very successful. Have a lot of students in the building, and we've had some good times so far.
Question?
Any questions for Mr. Nix?
A lot of parents.
For freshman night, we had a huge number of parents. We had standing room only. So we must have had, I'd have to estimate, if all the seats were taken in the auditorium, you had to have at least 350 plus parents. If I had to estimate for open house, I'd say it was probably in the 250 to 280 range. So usually what happens is, since we have them so close to freshman night, sometimes a lot of freshman parents may not come because they've just toured the building and have an overview. And then for parents who had previous children come through the school, they don't necessarily need to come and see the school and meet the teachers. They've already done that. So those numbers are traditionally lower.
Any other questions? High school? Karen?
Can we just follow up on the alternative ed report that was given to us? Are you willing to answer any questions about that tonight?
I believe we're doing that after this meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know it's coming up in the next
That's executive session.
education committee. Okay.
Yeah, I have that. Any other questions? Let's make some. Okay, well, thank you. Middle school, Mr. Payne.
All right, well, thank you. I just have 3 items for this evening. I want to first thank Paul and Darlene and the custodial staff for a tremendous amount of work being done this summer. The building is a busy place. It gets busier every summer, and I appreciate their flexibility, not only with the number of programs running in the building during the summer, professional development, add that in there as well, but we deal with the heat and humidity, which impacts the ability to do basic maintenance like refurnishing floors and painting. I especially would encourage folks as they travel out today to take a look at the cafeteria. Joe did a nice job of painting, some signage going up. It's a nice colorful place. Anytime you want to sit with me in 8th grade
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Payne?
Would it be a good idea for the board to send a thank you to that tour group also?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'd be happy
Okay.
Thanks.
I can provide a contact information.
All right, thank you. The next line item for tonight is the superintendent's report. You hear from
Pass out a flyer for the Vermont School Board Association. You may have already received this. November 7th and 8th is their joint conference with the Superintendent's Association. Some of you have gone in the past. If you have a desire to go, the Superintendent's Office can handle reservations for you, so contact Karen if you would like to go. It is informative for school board members and give you an opportunity to meet school board members from across the state. On September 24th, the state government is coming to town. Governor Scott and the Secretary of Education, Dan French, will be here. The Director of Finance and Operations for the SU and myself will be part of a panel discussion. We were originally told it was going to be at 11 a.m. The schedule has changed. It is now at 2:45, approximately 2:45, Bennington Firehouse. A one-hour panel discussion the theme being understanding your education property taxes. So, and we're hoping that Secretary French will be able to visit some schools too. He had some scheduled in the afternoon, but when the panel discussion moved to the afternoon, those got postponed. So we're waiting to hear if they'll be rescheduled for the AM. So that is September 24th, 2:45, Bennington Firehouse. Should last about an hour. You heard from your principals about opening day. The SVSU also had their opening day. It's the second day. The first day is a building-based day. Our opening day theme was embracing equity. It's part of a theme that we've been working on all year. We did have a guest speaker, the topic being understanding LGBTQ students. And the only other thing I want to mention is I'll save my rest of my remarks for executive session.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions besides those that are for executive session for the superintendent that you'd like to ask the question?
Yes. You sent us a memo about an assistant coach. Is that in the executive session, more details?
That'll be, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Under the chair's report, I'll just thank Tim for the opportunity that he gave me tonight. I do want to, that's Mr. Holbrook.
I understand he's celebrating his 60th wedding anniversary.
Yes, the 60th wedding anniversary going on.
He might not want me saying that, but
at least.
Apologize, Tim.
Yeah. I did want to say that we're having a lot of committee meetings going on, and there is one that food service is September the 19th, which is tomorrow, at 3:30 in this very same room. So while we were on CAT TV, they're looking for additional people to be part of the Food Service Advisory Committee, both board members and maybe public members as well. So I want...
Mr. Acting Chair, I flipped the page over too early. Speaking of committees, I'm requesting that this board, at its earliest convenience, convene the Facilities and Finance Committee, or is it Finance and Facilities Committee? There's a number of facility issues that we want to begin to the board to hear and then start to address things. Now, it's not just the aging high school building, but there are issues here at the middle school, and we really feel that we need the Facilities Committee to work with our Facilities Director and Administration to develop a multi-year plan for everything from athletic fields at the high school to renovation projects that are near and dear to everybody, and put priorities and some real budget numbers to those before we head into budget season. So I'm not sure who the chair of that committee is.
The Finance Committee normally has been taking that, but because of the scope of the things that we got coming along, we may want to split.
Yeah, because on the website it's listed as one committee, Finance and Facilities.
Right, and so I'm just saying that that'll be up to Tim to talk about that. We've already started to put some things in action as you
Tim will see it in the minutes, and I'll reach out to him when he returns to ask that we convene that. And but you're all aware, I don't know, we haven't met in a while. So.
Right, and part of that is one of the things that we said that we was talking about getting those plans together for to look at all our facilities and things like that and costs. So fixed assets was one of those. That policy is in here, and what was actually updated was the administrative regs part of that in conjunction with the auditors, and so that's in here just for an FYI, but that was one of the things that were brought up to and to be in order. And in terms of the policy committee, we had parents involvement policy, which is on here, 5011. That policy was reviewed and we didn't make any changes to that, but we did review it, and that's a still active policy piece. So talk about how and what we need to do in terms of keeping parents involved out there, and that's 5011. With that, I don't have any other common items except for executive session, so we have a question?
Could I ask before we go into executive session that we invite the other 3 administrators from high school to the executive session?
Well, I'm going to first ask that they invite you, because you need to be invited.
So, okay. That would be appropriate to have. This is an information, and I'm going to say 10 item is executive session per 1 VSA 313, and it describes the items in which we are going to enter into executive session, and if we're to take any action, need to take any action, we would have to come out in open session to do that along that line. So at this particular time.
I'll move we go into executive session.
Second.
And been moved and second. We're gonna meet in the conference room up here. So all in favor? Aye, so we're,